What do I see? All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's see how many people we have. We have just one viewer, me. And that picture is terrible. I don't like that. Let me go here. And how's your picture there? Hey, Jules. How's your picture? Does it look okay to you? Because when I'm looking at it on my computer, it's not super clear. How does it look to you? Does it look okay, or do I need to make a correction? Settings. Let's just try that. See if that's better. Refresh. Let me see if I have a better picture. Hi. How's your picture today? Is it okay? It's good? Because to me here on my screen, it doesn't look so great, but it looks okay to you? It looks okay? A little bit of Raven's Delight in my hot cup today. That's really nice. Okay. How are you today, Jules? Is your week starting off busy? I'm going to let a few more people join us here while we're chatting. And good morning, Grammy. I made it. I was having some trying something new with my broadcasting today. So got it going. I don't hear myself very well. Let me just double check my settings here on my camera. Make sure my microphone that it's good and I can, okay. Oh, it looks all good to me. All right. So how are you guys today? It's Tuesday. We haven't done a journaling and tea in a really long time. And it's nice to sit here and do this with you. So I'm not really sure I like this particular setup, but we'll try it for today and see how it goes. If not, we'll go back to the other one. How are you, Grammy, today? How are you feeling? And how is your hunt for a new place? Are you finding anything? And is your picture good, Grammy? When I look at my picture here, it's a little fuzzy. So I just want to make sure that it's good for you. And thank you for the lemon. Okay. So, I don't know. Okay, we got a couple of viewers here. Probably got a couple on our other channels. All right. Let's do it. Well, This morning I wanted to talk about what the nature of challenges. And this has been a conversation I've wanted to have for you look good. Home hunting is not so good. I have a funny story about my daughter for later. Okay, we'll definitely have a chat. I've been wanting to have a conversation about this topic for a while. Hi, Nitwit. How are you today? Um, oh, cocoa sounds really good. Um, we're going to get our cocoa bagged up this week, and it should be on our shop shelf by the end of the week. I hope you guys really love it. It's a nice, all organic, all natural mix, but it is a natural instant cocoa. So you should be able to boil up some water, or if you want to add extra hot milk or hot cream, you can. A glass of that and stir in a couple of tablespoons, and you should just love it. So enjoy your cocoa, Julesy, and Grammy. Cheers, ladies. Thanks for joining me. So, a long time ago, I read a book that Joseph Smith wrote called Lectures on Faith. And I was really impressed with it then. And today, I'm still really impressed with it. I like to have this. Okay, you'll listen till you're off work. Awesome. Thanks, Nitwit. Good to have you. And this topic, lectures on faith, is kind of Joseph Smith writes this lecture. It's a series of lectures, and the beginning of the topic, of course, is what is faith, and why are we challenged in the Bible to have it, and and then how faith draws in different types of challenges in our life, and how we move through our challenges with our faith. I'm not necessarily going to direct my conversation towards where your faith should be pointed spiritually. That's up for each of you to decide. I am going to direct this particular conversation around the nature of challenges and where they come from, why we have them, and what to do about them. That is really the thing that I took away from this short compilation of lectures. And so the first, if you have your notebook out, your first topic for this is going to be the nature of our challenges. And we have 4 types of challenges, maybe 5. I'll let you guys decide. First challenge that we have in life happens simply because, hey, baby, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in. The first kind of challenge that we have comes just from the nature of being human. And so those kinds of challenges are physical challenges with our health, with our wellness, with the condition of our physical body, the fact that it can be injured, the fact that we can lose a limb, the fact that we are subject to the physical elements around us: rain, fire, heat, cold, snow, hunger, thirst. Our body doesn't stand up to certain types of assaults without protection. So if you could name 2 or 3 types of physical challenges, what would you add separate from what I've just listed here? What are other physical challenges? We have a little bit of a delay here, so I'm going to give you guys a second to reply. But we have, what are some of the kind of physical challenges you guys go through, you guys experience? What are some things that you experience in your physical body? Being tired is a trial, exhaustion, requiring sleep. What else? Addictions. Yep. Our body likes certain types of substances. Some of them are better for us than others. Some of them come from pain and suffering, don't they? And some of them come from introducing different types of substances to our bodies, drugs and alcohol and nicotine and food. Sugar can be an addiction. Sex can be an addiction. That's a good one. Depression. Depression is a condition of the physical experience. Absolutely, it is. Anxiety, depression. When we go through these experiences, it is definitely a mental, physical, and spiritual challenge, isn't it? Our bodies feel the energy of it. Our little soul feels it. Yeah, we get chest pain from the depression and anxiety. We have health problems from addiction. Addictions can cause difficulties in our jobs and in our families. And chest pain can be an indicator of illness. It can be an indicator of emotional distress. Sure, those are really good. Yeah, that's right. Corey's been told his greatest challenge is not peeing on the bathroom scale. I clean that bathroom scale every day, just so you know. Because I like to put my bare feet on it. Sorry. You're not wrong. It's a big hole. And I know you can shoot your gun and aim really well. And your bow. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I love you. Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to turn that off so I don't have to hear it. So, physical challenges. We do have physical challenges. We can add physical challenges. We can be born with physical challenges, genetic problems, and we can be born with heart issues, and we can be born with brain challenges and other organ functions and issues and deficiencies. So we can have, physical challenges too. But this is the nature of being human. We are fragile, we are delicate, we are subject to things, other elements in this existence that have the ability to corrode and erode and I'm looking for a word. Destroy, diminish, entropy, cause entropy to our body, process of aging. So, just the fact that we're born brand new and we grow up and we age, the whole process of that, brings all kinds of physical problems with it. When my daughter was 11, she started having physical problems with her feet. So she went into puberty. She needed several surgeries on her feet so that she could walk, because the little growth plates in her bones, when puberty turned on the growth plates for her feet and legs to grow longer and taller. It made some of the bones in her feet grow extra long, and it caused the bones to grow into other bones and tissue of her feet. So she had to have her feet operated on. So, this is a challenge of being born into the physical world. Sometimes our genetic information doesn't function properly, right? Aging is another one. Aging is our least favorite challenge of being in this world. None of us like it. None of us like it. It's, we get old and brittle and we lose our physical strength, and we go from being the ones doing the helping to requiring help again. So this is our first set of challenges in the world, and the most prominent one, just simply because we are physical human beings, and we are part of a state of entropy, and we are part of we're made full of little bits of natural elements, and we they're subject to oxidation and erosion and wearing down, and over time our body gets tired of doing it perfectly. So that's our first one. The second set of challenges that we have comes from we're going to focus on outside influence again. So the second set of challenges that we have in our life come from the decisions and choices and actions that other people do. So their decisions, their choices, and their actions, how they affect us each individually in our own lives. So things that our family members do, and things that our friends do, and things that our politicians do, and our mayor, and the boss over at the grocery store, and the checker, and the person standing behind you in line, and the person driving on the road next to you in their lane. All of these people around us have some kind of influence in our life. Some kind of influence. Some indirectly, making poor driving choices. My T-ball leaked, excuse me. And some directly. Sometimes, maybe we have a friend who doesn't always treat us the most awesome, and that comes to us directly. They think that having fun with us is acceptable in a way of teasing or poking fun or constantly harassing. Some people think that gossiping is okay, and all of these things come right back around and do affect us each individually. Sometimes people are violent. We are seeing a lot of this violence on television and the internet right now. We're seeing a lot of, some intentionally, absolutely. We're seeing people hurting each other on purpose. We see the people in our government intentionally hurting the mass group of our population. We see science today and the elites trying to eliminate a portion of the population, if not most of it, with all the things going on in the world around us, and their actions and their desires and their thoughts directly affect each and every one of us. Look at how the COVID situation has taken over the entire world. Look at how it has changed your entire life in the last year and a half. The people I'm talking to are preferring to stay at home more. They don't want to deal with people out in the world anymore. People's friends and family are hassling them because they're choosing not to be vaccinated. Or because they are choosing to get vaccinated because they feel they're concerned about their job and losing their job. So, those kinds of decisions that other people make will directly and do directly and are directly affecting you each and every day. So that's trial number 2. Trial number 3 happens because of the stupid shit we do. We do a lot of really great things. We do our best not to make mistakes. We try really hard to be good people most of the time. Sometimes, we're not at our best, and maybe we choose intentionally to pick at somebody. Maybe we choose intentionally to be unkind to somebody. Maybe we make intentional choices to do something that's destructive or unkind to somebody else. So in this way, now we've affected somebody else. Maybe we're tired. Maybe we have too many things going on in our personal life and we aren't able to keep track of our own personal mood, our tone, our actions, and we unintentionally injure somebody. Maybe we're short, maybe we're impatient, maybe we've got things on our mind and we're thinking about those and we're not really listening to somebody else and we're not doing our best. In this way, these are some of the ways that we can, create a trial in our own life because we're not being aware enough of the people around us. We can make uninformed decisions. And sometimes when we make uninformed decisions, we find out that we really needed more information before we made decisions. And we find that we are now dealing with consequences of decisions made that needed better planning, needed better organization, needed more information. And sometimes we do things out of will and ego and stubbornness and selfishness. And these also, these are all human things. These are things that we need to correct. These are things that we need to become aware of. A lot of times we're not aware that we're being less considerate. Sometimes we need somebody to say, hey, you're being a jackass. And that's usually enough to get any of us, reconnected and woken up a little bit so that we're, paying attention again to how we're treating the people around us. If I'm really hungry, I can be a little difficult. I try and just be quiet when I'm hungry so that I'm not unpleasant or unkind. That's, I try not to be a hangry person, but sometimes I can be if it's late. So, that's number 3. When we make stupid decisions, stupid choices, and things that we have to correct. When we have to correct them, we have to, part of correcting those things is recognizing that if somebody hasn't told us that we're being an idiot or that we're being rude or thoughtless, it's up to us to become aware of it. It's up to us to check ourselves and check, they say check your privilege, but I just say, check my attitude, check my demeanor. Am I being as kind and polite as I can be or should be? If I'm not, does something need to be addressed? Is the reason I'm not being my best because something needs to be addressed and I have, I have a conversation I need to have and I'm not doing it? Well, we're going to come back to these things in a minute. I want to get to the 4th one here. And, so these are 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, as far as challenges go and how they come into our lives. The 4th challenge comes from the universe, and they're usually teaching challenges. Christians will say that God is giving them a challenge and teaching them, giving them something new to learn, and that we often hear Christians say God won't give you more than you can handle. Is that true? Probably. I really believe that. I've been through some rough things in my life, and I have gotten through most of them by stopping and telling myself in this moment right now, are you okay? I'm okay. And I ask myself, are you okay? I'm okay. Do I like what's happening? No. Okay. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But am I okay? Like, am I safe? Am I protected? Have I done enough to make sure that I'm physically safe? Okay. Yes, I am physically safe. So I'm going to double check and make sure that I'm physically safe. Now that I understand that I am physically safe, next I'm going to ask if I am spiritually and emotionally safe. And if I'm safe, then I can take a deep breath and really look at my challenge and look at what the universe is asking me to learn. The universe, God, creator, source, whatever you call it, where you are having a growing time, a spiritual challenge. We get them all the time throughout the year. We don't just have them in Mercury being in retrograde, or we don't just have them around anniversaries or seasonal things. We don't have them around old memories or old traditions that don't suit us anymore. Jules says, I think God allows us to be challenged so in overcoming we recognize our own strength. I think that you're right. And I think that God also allows us to go through challenges so that we know when to ask for help. Because we are communal animals, we are communal people. Part of the experience in life is needing other people. We need each other for survival. We need each other physically for survival, emotionally, and spiritually for survival. That doesn't mean that we don't need to be have our own quiet time, have our own time to be creative, or have our own time to think and just be. We all need that personal time. But in this, for this conversation, you're right. Yeah, and we do need to be needed. It gives us purpose, absolutely. And a lot of times we find our answers to our spiritual, developmental, emotional growth challenges, the things that God and the universe give to us to be better, by reaching out to other people. This is where we find our earth angels, and this is where we find people who've been through it, who have the answers, who now in our asking, we give them purpose to support us and share their experience. So the fourth kind of challenge really not only lets us know that we are part of the greater whole and we are part of creation, because creation is teaching us and asking us to grow so that we can be better and we can be more. It is also asking us to share everything that is given us so that we can love and care for and nurture and help and support and teach each other. So we're going to start with those four. Those are the four main areas in my mind that challenges come from. At the very end, if it fits, I'll stick it in here for the fifth one. If you think there's a fifth one, you throw it out there in the chat and we'll have a conversation about that too. So let's go back to the first one. Do you remember what the first one was? The first challenge. What do you think that first challenge is? Do you remember? The very first challenge. Yes, I am. Hello, Sixes Design. Nice to see you. So back to our first challenge. Our first challenge is being human. Physical reactions to emotional issues. That's part of it. Absolutely, Grammy. When we have a physical reaction to emotional issues, we store those things in our bodies. So if we want our bodies to stay well, to fight against all the elemental challenges we have to deal with our physical health. Thank you, sweetie. Physical survival in the physical realm. That's right. Surviving in the physical realm. We need water, and we need food, and we need sleep, and we need shelter, and we need, what do we need out here in the desert for shelter? Well, in the wintertime, we need shelter from the cold and the wind. It occasionally rains out here in the summertime. If you get caught in the monsoons, you need protection from torrential downpours. But by and large, out here in Arizona, you need protection from the sun. And so while you would think that you would see all these tan brown babies and brown grown-ups running around because it's so beautiful and sunny here, the sun is so hot and scorching and scathing that most of us cover up all summer long to avoid burning off and having skin cancer. We need chocolate to survive. Yes, lover, we do need chocolate to survive. Chocolate is a daily requirement for survival. And I know you're in here, Nitwit. You know what I'm talking about. Yep. And bourbon. Hey, Jim in Texas, and bourbon. Chocolate and bourbon. Okay, so we don't have nearly enough chocolate or bourbon for surviving the apocalypse. I'm thinking we need cases of each. I'm thinking we need cases of each. Six's design says, I always visualize it as yin and yang. Balance yourself. That's right. That's a really good concept, Sixes, because you have to be in tune with yourself to balance your physical body. And so my question is, Grammy is bringing this up, your physical reactions, how your body reacts to physical, your physical reaction to emotional distress. Oh, it does go really well with ginger ale. Okay. Hooray, Nitwit. You're almost done. So if you, I'm going to come back to this here. Yeah. Being in tune with yourself. Chocolate was of course, it is one of the food groups. It is the most important food group. Everything else after that is, make up your extra calories with that. This chocolate is my favorite. Dark chocolate, not too sweet. But I used to tease my mom as a kid growing up because she hid her chocolate in the house all over. She had chocolate all over, and we were not allowed to touch the chocolate. That was my mom's. And now I understand why. A good piece of chocolate every day is very good for your mental well-being. It most certainly does. So let's talk for a minute about being in balance with yourself. When I have anxiety, I feel it right here. It gets really tight. I have extreme stress in my chest, and when it gets really bad, I can feel it all the way in my back. When I have real heavy sorrow and fear or concern, that kind of, I get it in my stomach and I can't eat. So my stomach just shuts down and I can't eat. But the rest of my guts are very active. So, my stomach gets tight and my guts get loose. And, we hold these things in our bodies. There are book after book after book after book written on the body mind correlation, and you have a book called you have books that talk to you about how to stop emotionally eating, because and they talk in these books about where your emotions are sitting in your body and what that feels like. So if you're having back pain, or if you're having a chronic cough, or if you're having knee pain or ankle pain or elbow pain, it'll tell you. Somebody did a lot of research and they organized this and they listed, how funny it seems, but they listed where your different emotions settle in your body. And much of our common emotions and feelings and things that we experience do settle in our body in similar places. So this is a quantifiable thing. Hey, Les. I like these suggestions. I'm going to read them to you guys. Cocoa actually has some good qualities. The sugar and fats are the things that get you. Yes. And if you can have cocoa without those things added, like if you can tolerate that, because it's pretty strong, it can kind of be a little bit hot and burn your mouth. But if you can, that's a really great way to get your cocoa. Les says grinding up pepper, eat a little bit of it, and then cup your hands and inhale pepper vapors. It helps with anxiety. I'm going to try that this week, Les. And I'm going to come back to you and let you know how I did with that. That is a really cool little experiment. Jim says, anxiety. I think I finally figured out that anxiety is meant to motivate. It means we need to do something or take care of something. I'm going to add something to that, Jim. It means we need to we definitely need to move out of stagnation into action. Absolutely. Absolutely we do. And that really does help us with anxiety. Means we need to do something or take care of something. It is meant to motivate. It does. It also means that we have to deal with something or stop dealing with something. We either need to get more involved or become less involved in something. It means that we're sitting on the fence or waffling. It means that we're not moving through our emotional stuff very well and we're ruminating on it. Sometimes we need to ask for help, and sometimes we need to just ask ourselves, am I stuck in the past? Am I worrying about the future? A couple things we can't worry about. We have to forgive ourselves for the things that we've done wrong in the past, whether anybody else does or not, whether the person that we've harmed or whether the person that we have offended does or not. It is up to us to do this for ourselves, and there's a difference between excusing bad behavior and saying, I wasn't at my best that day and I probably need to stop beating myself up over this, or it was a misunderstanding, or go through it, make notes about it, pick the situation apart, and if you need to maybe make an apology. Sometimes we feel anxiety because we are feeling accountability for things, and so if you're in that situation, lay it out there, open it up and lay it out there, and sort it out. Let the anxiety move you to action, and let the anxiety say, you have this anxiety with your friend because you're thinking that maybe you offended and you don't know how to address it. Just ask. Did I offend you? I said this. Did I offend you? I did this. Did I offend you? I hope not. And if you did, take the steps to fix it. Recognizing it's number one. Acknowledging it to yourself and the person is number two. Apologizing. Apologize. And this is where we get our lesson. In the apology and the making it right. Sometimes we don't know what to do to make something right. So we ask a person, what do we need to do? What do I need to do to make this right? And if they don't know, sometimes the apology is enough. And if they do know, listen to what they have to say. And if you can do it, make it right. If you broke something, repair and replace it. If you, like that, repair and replace it if you can. Rebuild it if you can. And change, and then the change in the behavior shows the person in front of you that you're moving through your own learning as well. And when somebody comes to me and does that, it's really meaningful. And it can be hard sometimes when someone comes to you and says, I did this, or I'm sorry I offended you. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry that my actions brought some kind of pain or destruction in your life. And when they do that, it can be hard to listen because your hurt is really deep. And if that's the case, and you're not sure what to do next, take a minute and on the receiving end and listen and be open to the person in front of you, and be open to be open to giving them room to grow. Because when you're in that position and you need the room to grow and you need someone to accept your apology and be willing to work with you on something, you also need to be willing to work with someone when they've been unkind or thoughtless and careless with your feelings. And it can be scary and it can be really hard. And working through that can be an anxiety driving feeling for you as well. And this is where you take your faith and you look at the person in front of you and you say, I see this is not generally your behavior. I see that this is not generally who you are. And you can go back and reset your comfort with that person in a place that is comfortable, and then try again. I happen to be, for me, it's very hard to do that. This is one of my challenges in this world, is trusting people. That's a really big challenge for me. And when somebody breaks my trust, that is a really big thing for me to overcome. I think about it a lot. I weigh it out. I really fight with it. I love people. And I love having close relationships. I don't have very many of those. So those are very, very important to me. And if somebody breaks my trust, I really have to make several decisions for me. Am I able to forgive this person? Does this person have enough history with me to show me that they're trustworthy otherwise, while I sort out my feelings about this? And is this sort of thing, what can I deal with it if it happens again? So that's kind of how I look at it. And um, those are things for me. When I approach somebody when I've done something wrong, I will tell them, I did this and I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. These are the reasons that I did it. This was my thinking. This is what I was thinking about when it happened. This is where I went with it, and I hope you can forgive me. And if they can't forgive me right away, they can't forgive me right away. But I have to, and that's where, we have to come into forgiving ourselves. Sometimes it takes us longer to forgive ourselves than it takes somebody else to forgive us. And we need to remember in this situation to be as kind to ourselves as we possibly can, because we are just human after all. Yeah. It doesn't feel good to have your feelings and expectations betrayed, but it doesn't feel good when you realize that you've done that to somebody else too. And it is unavoidable because, we live in this physical nature. And so when we communicate and we are humble about things and we are open and, I don't know, this part of the whole challenge situation is where is my biggest challenge, is the challenges that we have in this physical world and the challenges that we have in number 2, based on the things that people do. I get the challenges that we have in the real world simply because of being human. What do we do to take care of our body? That's right, Grammy. The truth is the truth, and living within the truth is not as easy as it sounds. It's not. And if we are honest, it means that we have to come forward and own our actions and behaviors, right? And we need to be the best that we can be. So number 1, go back to number 1 for a second here while we're on number 2. So let's stay there for a minute. When we have sometimes we have to make choices for our lives because of the things that we see in front of us. And self-correction is the hardest to learn, I think. We give ourselves to being outs with excuses that we would not stand for from others. That's right. That's a really good point, Grammy. When we give ourselves outs for excuses that we wouldn't put up with for anybody else, but we also are the hardest on ourselves. If, a lot of us are anyway, harder on ourselves than others are. So we'll go back to what 6 said. We've got to have a little bit of balance, right? We've got to have some balance with how hard we are on ourselves and how hard we are on the people around us. Remember, they're people too. They've got people in our lives have things going on. They're tired. They get sick. They don't feel good. They they have their own moral compasses. They have their own experiential compass. They have their own trigger set. And we need to have room for all these things, because that makes this world a little bit gentler for each and every one of us. Yeah, we do hold the bar high for others and higher for ourselves. We do. We need to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror, right? We need to be able to lay in bed at night and not ruminate over, why did I say this? Why didn't I do that? I should have done this. We don't want to live in this physical world with a lot of regrets. So when we have decisions and situations and things that come to us, we want to really take the time to think them through. And these headphones make my hair itchy. Sorry. We really want to take the time to think them through and make sure that we're looking at all aspects before we make decisions. Yeah, that slows us down a little bit, but in the end, that makes life and our bedtime mental state a lot easier, doesn't it? Because we're not laying in bed chastising ourselves for all the ways we made mistakes, or for rushing through decisions, or wishing that we hadn't this or that. Or so take your time, slow down, respond, don't react. And that's also very compassionate to the people that we're dealing with, because they're going through just as much as we are, sometimes more. And that grouchy lady at the grocery store, well, maybe her cat's at home and dying, or maybe her mother just died, or maybe she's really sick today and she had to come to work, or maybe she doesn't want to take the vaccination and she has to in order to keep her job. And we can't know everything that's going on with people. So for trial type number 2, I try really hard to remember that people are going through their own things in this physical experience. And especially with strangers, we can remember to be kind. So especially with strangers, we can remember to be kind when we get home and it's the end of the day and the kids come home and their backpacks are on the floor and their rooms aren't clean and the dishes aren't done. We can remember that they're kids. They've had a long day. Maybe their teacher was grouchy. Maybe they had an issue with a student at school. Remember, the most important people to us, we got to give a little extra room to. That's love. That's compassion. That gives everybody an opportunity to self-correct without screaming at them. It gives everybody a little bit of compassion, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of leeway. And you know what? That comes back around to each of us. When we give that to others, that definitely comes back around to us. So remember that at the end of the day, when the household is tired and grumpy. See if just you remembering this about everybody else in the house changes the mood or lifts the mood. Jim in Texas also brings up a really important point. The fight is against all the me, commercial, advertising, consumer programming. It is. Everything in the media is designed to create selfish thinking. And consumer-based thinking. I need this. I need that. I want that. I have to have that. I should look like that. I should be that. And those things, Jim, don't you think that those types of focuses also create a sense of competition with everybody in the world around you? So, thanks, Steph Mike. I appreciate that. Good to have you. Don't you think that that kind of those that kind of thinking creates a divisiveness between you and the people around you? Oh, he's got that watch, I don't have that watch. Instead of, hey, that's a really cool guy. And getting to know the person, then you start to think about all the ways that you're not the same. You think about his different shoes and the different pants and the brand name this and that, instead of, I'd like to get to know that person. I want to know what they think about. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to maybe join their group or join them in this or that other social event. Maybe that person's on a team and you want to go join them, or maybe they're part of a group and they go walking and you want to go join them. And I feel like a lot of this creates separation between us instead of unity. I'm all about expressing yourself through your fashion, your hair color, your nails, whatever shoes you like to wear. I'm all about that. It seems, surface, but it's important to how you feel good. I don't see how any more than your personal self-expression. I don't see how that is otherwise very good for you. It's okay. I'm glad you're here, Nitwit. Yeah, it creates a large open air arena, a competitive milieu instead of cooperative one. I personally like to improve myself. Yes, I agree with that. You in this in the challenges of trial number 2, you get the one-upsmanship from I got your neighbors, you get a new car, your neighbors get a better new car. You get a new dress, your girlfriend gets a better new dress or a prettier new dress, or it starts to create this keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up appearances thing. And so the challenge really in dealing with the challenges from challenge number 2 are how to take those challenges and unify each other. Don't you think? Unify your community, unify your neighborhood, unify the people that you associate with, instead of allowing these things to become points of insecurity for you. Carolyn likes to wear her hair up. I wear my hair down. Carolyn wants me to wear my hair up. I don't like to wear my hair up, so I wear my hair down. Carolyn can tease me about my hair being up, and I can just laugh with her and move on, right? Very basic things. If somebody is teasing you or picking at you or poking on with you, you can make fun with them. You can throw some fun at yourself instead of fighting with them. My favorite is that I keep my hair blonde for all the reasons, and I make up some number. 9,221 this week is my number for reasons for keeping my hair blonde, because I can do some dippy things and it's funny and sometimes embarrassing, and everybody appreciates a good blonde joke, and when I'm embarrassed, I'll make a blonde joke to myself, because it takes the sting out of feeling a public embarrassment or shame or whatever, and we all have a little laugh, and it diffuses it for me, and it goes on. But this is how I do it, instead of feeling embarrassed and ashamed and like I'm being looked at or looked down on or whatever, I just make a joke out of it and move on. So challenge number 2, the big challenge for each of us in this type of challenge with in dealing with other people and their influence on us, including how we feel about ourselves, is to know really, I gotta find out what is dinging in here. Oh, beautiful man. Someone got a nice beard trim. He looks so handsome. There we go. I had to say hello to my baby. He looks so handsome. So he got his beard all trimmed up. You know, in dealing with challenge number 2 as well, competitive milieu instead of a cooperative one. I personally like to. Okay, I read your note already out loud. Okay, so if somebody is, I don't know, I'm just going to ask you, what are some of the challenges that you have in dealing with other people's actions? What are and how they affect you? List off a couple of the challenges that you have when people interact in your life in a way that is not at all desirable. You know, what are some of those? Nitwit. Nitwit says, when I feel lonesome, I remind myself Daniel John Lee is looking for wife number 9, and I feel glad I'm not looking. Okay, I'm going to give you that one. There you go. There you go. Things to be grateful for, right? Things that we are grateful for. We are not looking. Oh, that's funny. In section number 3, in dealing with our own stupid mistakes, I find that for me, when I find myself in a situation or circumstance that I don't like, the first thing I ask myself is, what did I do to get myself here? Because I am the captain of my own ship. So wherever I'm going, I'm mostly in charge of. Death Mike says, I'm grateful for the times I catch Corey telling someone to fuck them in the neck. Very soothing. It is very soothing. Let somebody else do it. Bravo. Fuck them in the neck. And you know, there's something to that. There is something to just saying, you know what? No fucks given here. When you, yeah, we all kind of get a good laugh out of it. Because you know he means it, first of all. And second of all, you know you kind of want to see what that looks like. And it just makes us all really happy. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it really is nice for people just to be honest and direct, isn't it? We have so many euphemisms and we have so many politically correct terms and we have so many things that we can't say or don't say or are in the process of right now in this world trying to find a way to Sorry, one second. Okay. Sorry. Now I need to rewind because that wasn't you, Graham. Okay. It, yeah, it can be very frustrating to have to use to have to be politically correct for normal everyday things. And it can be really difficult to communicate sometimes with groups that and people that you're not used to or familiar with. So, yeah, the best way to handle that is simple, unsolicited kindness. You're right. If you're in a situation socially and you're not sure what to do or how to be, just be kind and just be polite and ask questions. If you aren't sure about something, ask questions. I find that people are really open to answering questions, especially when you're asking questions about themselves and how they want to interact with you or how you want them to interact with them. When I did massage therapy, I did that for about 17 years. And when I did that, I knew that I had quite a few customers and clients who were abuse survivors. And whether that was abuse from their spouse or from a parent or, another adult in somebody's growing up, they were coming to see me for a massage, but they were very reticent about the whole procedure, being vulnerable and being touched. So I would tell them and give them permission to direct me. And I would say, because I had a little questionnaire on for my new clients, I had a questionnaire, and part of my questions on there asked about the type of touch they wanted to receive. Did not offer special flavors. I did not offer extra off spa menu items. I did not do that, but I did give somebody room to tell me, hey, I was abused and I really would like you to rub my feet and hands and my neck for me today. Or I had a client, and I've told this story a couple of times. She came into me after a long, hard life of being abused, and she wanted to work through her fear and anxiety and frustration about not liking to be touched. So we started with hand massages. And when she was ready, she told me, could you move up my arm a little bit? And then could you move up my leg a little bit? We did hands and feet. And we moved up and we moved up and we moved up till we moved to the middle of her body, her trunk, her shoulders, her back, her hips, her thighs. We did the whole very slowly. And so this taught me to ask people questions. Is it okay if I do this? Or, do you prefer this or do you prefer that? Ask people. You're going to learn a lot about them. And you're going to let the other person know that you're thinking about them. And that's, when somebody knows that you're concerned about their comfort and their well-being, that is very trust building. And this is important. Because as you build trust with somebody, then your communication expands with someone, and you are able to have deeper, broader conversations. You're able to become closer to each other. When we hold everybody at arm's distance away from us, and we don't let them come close. And if we do that and we don't let them come close, we don't ever have those kind of relationships that we as humans need to have. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that is Jules' greatest weakness. It is hard to be vulnerable. It is hard to say, here are my limits, and these are the things I love. These are, saying these are the things I love, talking about things you love and want and desire. Those things are easy. It can be harder when we need to talk about things that are related to setting boundaries. It can be harder to talk about things when we're experiencing the behavior of somebody that, maybe causing us concern or fear or sadness. It may make us feel exposed to share our upset feelings. Sometimes telling those feelings, even coming from a loving place, isn't always met with the response that we want, and that can be a great deterrent for expressing our feelings. So do the best that you can. For me, writing them down is easier than saying them out loud. I feel like I can say what I need to say more concisely than if I just say it out loud sometimes, especially if my emotions are high. So, if that's the case for you, try writing it down, and then you can use your notes to talk to somebody. You can give them a letter. You could throw the letter away. You could take your letter, make bullet points, and approach somebody with your bullet points. These are solutions. You could memorize them. I have to write things down first, and then I can talk about them. If I write them down, sometimes a couple of times, if I see my theme and the thing that is rolling over the most in my brain, that's the thing I try and bring forward and talk about. Don't get frustrated if you have somebody in your life that is difficult to communicate with. Learning each other's communication styles can be tricky and can take some time. And learning somebody's love language can take you some time, and learning how somebody will respond to you when you expose your vulnerable feelings and wishes and upsets. When you expose those things, how you were treated when you expose those things will improve your confidence if you are treated with understanding and openness. And by openness, I mean somebody's willing to listen to you and hear you out. They might not like what you say, and they don't have to be happy about it. But if they give you the room and the space to express it, that right there, Jules, will give you the confidence to keep doing it. You just have to keep doing it. And it does get harder with people that you are really intimately involved in life with. It's easy to talk to a stranger and be yourself and tell a stranger what you think about, what's on your mind, all of those things. But when you sit down with somebody that you really love, you start to think, well, am I going to be rejected? Is this idea going to make them angry? Are they going to feel mad that I'm upset about this? Or, right? We have a million reasons why we make communicating hard. Start small. We just start small. And this is really going to help. Start small. sorry. Grammy says, due to trauma, I can't write my feelings down. It took decades just to learn to talk about some of it. Using chat has helped me open up. Okay, what a wonderful tool the modern day is, right, Grammy? We can have a conversation with a little bit of space between us with a chat that gives you room to be honest and be yourself and have a little physical space and feel safe. I can understand that. I can understand that really on a really personal level, Grammy. I understand that. Whatever works for you, you know. Each one of you is going to move through an upset or a frustration a little bit differently. And when we take the time to see each other's process, we're doing a service and a compassion and giving a gift to somebody that we love. And this is, for me personally, really important. I know what it means to me to be heard and to be listened to, and for my feelings and experiences to matter. And I want the people in my life to know that their experiences and their needs and their lives matter to me too. And it becomes easier when we step back and sit and listen for a minute and really hear the heart of the person talking to us, and let that's hard. Yeah. Validated. It's nice to be validated, sure. When you've had a life of trauma or you've had abuse in your life, the need for validation is important, because you question yourself if you're overreacting, if you're not seeing things right or clear, or you know, you get anxious and you get fearful about yourself. You second guess yourself, you doubt yourself, and you think a little bit to yourself, well, maybe I'm making too much of this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what is, because my own personal life situation took me a long time to come across the things that are normal. And so even at my age, I'm still learning some of that. And yeah, you do learn a lot. You do learn a lot when you take accountability in the third phase of your where trials come from. When you take accountability for your actions, when you take accountability for how you talk to somebody, when you take accountability for being honest, when you take accountability for being faithful, when you take accountability for following through with things that you say, when you just own your life and you own your shit, all of it, you're going to correct and put in some balance here. And here's how that happens. In phase 3, or in trial type 3, things that happened to me in my life because I did them. That's why I ask myself, when I'm in a situation I don't like, first, what did I do to put myself in this position? That's the first thing I ask, is what did I do? Getting honest is a big deal. It is a big deal. You have to be honest with yourself first. You have to look at the situation you're in and go, how much of this is mine? How much of this is mine? You're going to have a little bit of everything in this here, but a good part of it's yours, because you lived your life. You made choices every day, every hour, every minute. You made choices And those choices walked you into the situation you are currently in. Now, do other people have a part in this? Can they? Most of the time, yes, but sometimes no. So first, how did I get here? Second question is, what of this is mine? Make a list, write it down. When you write it down and look at it, it promotes ownership. So own the things that you've written down. Own the things that you have done to walk yourself into your current situation. Then look at the other people. If there are other people involved in your situation, then you got to look at them. How are they contributing? Okay. And is there a lesson here that the universe wants you to learn? Now it's coming together, right? So in phase 3, the phase where my actions and my words are things I'm responsible for. You can only make choices from what you are aware of at the time you need to make it. Skills and knowledge are always evolving. You're really right about that. And this is why forgetting yourself is so important, because in 6 months' time, you're going to look back and go, I only had so much information. I had to make this decision with this much information. And I did the best I could. You can only make choices from what you are aware of at the time you need to make it. Skills and knowledge are always evolving. That's right. And I used to tell this to the family members of patients who were in hospice when I did hospice care. And I used to tell the family and friends that there are only so many decisions you can make. And you can only make so many decisions. You can only make the most right decision based on the most information you have and the modern technology that is available today in the hospice industry. So those things right there apply to everything else in your life. You can only make a decision based on what you know. You can only make a decision on sometimes you have to make immediate and rapid decisions. And those are the ones that we sometimes find ourselves having regrets about. But if you can just take a deep breath and ask yourself before you make any decision, what is best? What is best for me and everyone involved? Start there. One second. Okay, thank you. So, when the family members would sit down with me and go, I just don't want to make the wrong decision. Sometimes there are no wrong decisions. Sometimes there are only the best right decisions for the circumstance, for the moment, and that's it. And you have to you have to give yourself permission to do your best and accept that in that moment that was your best. Well, Grammy, he'll be there on the other side for you. He'll be waiting for you. You just talk to him. He'll be there. Yep, he most certainly will. I know somebody else who does hospice and hospice care should you need it. You just send me a DM and we'll take care of that. So remember, when you make the best choice that you can, you got to give yourself some room with that. Same thing with understanding people around you. But when you understand that for yourself, know that it opens the energy for you to do that for people around you. When you are in a situation with a person and you are finding that you're having a hard time forgiving them for something that is really, maybe really hurt you, take a step back and see what you're having a hard time forgiving yourself for. And maybe consider that the things that you're having a hard time forgiving yourself for might be the very reason that you want to forgive somebody who has wronged you. If sometimes when we can forgive somebody else first, then we can forgive ourselves. And sometimes it's the other way. Sometimes we have to forgive ourselves first for similar things. And then we can see how forgiving the other person is going to help them and help ourselves. You know, when we are able to let go. And I know this personally, despite my challenge with it. I know that when I can forgive and put it down, I have more peace and less physical disagreement in my body. For example, I'll share this with you and show you how, starting in the third phase of dealing with trials, I improve my dealing with trials overall. So phase 2, sorry. If my mother was not a healthy person, and she was not a kind person, and she was not very well, and she did a lot of really horrible things. And it's, for a long time, I was just angry at all the things that she did. I was angry how she held me down for my father, and I was angry how she spoke to me, and I was angry how she shamed me, and I was angry how she regularly embarrassed me. And I was angry that she didn't have time for me, and that she threw my art away. And you know, my mother did a lot of things to hurt my feelings. She did a lot of things. She fed me insects. My mother was just a horrible human being. And my mother died in 2012, October 2012. And when my mother died, I hadn't spoken to her in 25 years, I guess. And when my cousin told me that she passed away, I didn't have too many feelings about it because, you know, she wasn't a reasonable parent. But over time, I learned that I realized that my mother's mother had her own problems. My mother lost her father when she was 7, and I was, and she had a stepfather who was good as a grandfather, but he wasn't super great as a father because, he was older and he didn't have children of his own when he married my grandmother. And these things were really hard for my mom. And she married my dad, who was not a stable human being and who was a power hungry person. And that really changed my mother. And I realized that the things that my father did and the things that my father was doing was like the final stress for my mother to be able to take. And she just did what she did because that was how she survived. Do I wish she did things differently? Yes. Do I wish that she had chosen me and my sister over my dad? Yes. Do I wish that she had been there for my kids? Yeah. But I did the best thing I could. I decided that she was toxic, and I kept my children safe from her and my dad. And right, sometimes it doesn't help you to have a fantasy of what your relationship could or should be. Because when you gloss over the truth, the reality of what is in front of you, you are the final victim of that. And it is our job, first and foremost, to take care of ourselves. We can't take care of our children. We can't take care of our friends and family if we don't take care of ourselves. And so for me, that was stepping away from my family. And I realized that by the time my mother had passed away, I had forgiven her for a lot of things. And some things I hadn't forgiven her for by that point. And the thing that by that point that I hadn't forgiven her for was for abandoning me and not doing what a mother is supposed to do. Excuse me. But I could forgive her for the other things because most of it was a condition of living with my dad. And you're right, you can't change the person or dream them into a different personality or behavior or whatever. They are who they are. People are who they are. And as we get older, people are who they are. Some of us have the capacity to grow and change, and some of us at a certain age just don't have that capacity anymore because it's habit, So, at this point in my life, with my mother being gone, I, it took me a long time to even understand that I had grieved her for so many years that when I finally learned that she had died, that I'd done my grieving. I dealt with my loss and I dealt with my grieving. And now when I think about my mom, I often think about how, the nature of her death. And that tells me that she wasn't happy in her life and that she maybe wanted to change some of those things. And that, in a strange way, that helped me forgive her some more. I wish to this day that I had had time to speak to my mom before she died. But I don't regret the way that I managed my life from the time I decided to step away from her either. Because it meant that my kids were safe, and it meant that I was safe as a young adult, and I was able to put myself in a healthier situation so I'd be a better parent. So when I owned my response to my mom, when I owned my loss of my mother as a little girl to her own choices, that made me a less angry person. And when I became a less angry person, I was able to look at other people and their challenges and have more patience for them and have more compassion for them and understand that everything that happened in my mother's life made her who she was and made her susceptible to people like my father. So in the situation with my mother, I was able to open up my ability to relate to people because I learned how to look at somebody who is inflicting pain in my life. It took me a long time. And I'm okay with that. That's right. You correct the next generation you protect the next generation by removing the younger generation from an abusive generation, right? Or that's what you do. But you open up that. In some ways it closes you, and in other ways it opens you up. It teaches you quickly to see the flags. It teaches you quickly to be aware, to know when to step away, to back up. You have better cues than other people, it seems, to pay attention to what's in front of you. But on the reverse side of that, it can also make you extremely fearful and extremely cautious about dealing with people and trusting them. So how do you strike the balance? Our parents are the great measure for this. How our parents related to us and treated us and taught us teaches us exactly how to relate to other people, if it's safe to trust other people, if it's not safe to trust other people. Our parents teach us this, and then our early relationships are always, some of you out there have friends that you've known since elementary school, and that just is so beautiful to me, because those are friendships that you have had for a lifetime. Not always perfect, are they? Lala, we're going to get to that. That's a big part of this conversation today. Do any of us really know what we're doing out here? I mean, really, just making it up as we go along. So let me see if I can wrap this segment into a linear thought for you. If we take accountability for ourselves, if we take accountability for, if we understand what our fears are, what our triggers are, if we understand those things, if we understand the things that make us feel anxious when we are trying to relate to other people, we can express those things. We can come forward straight away in making new friendships and making new romantic relationships. We can be straightforward and say, I have a tremendous fear of, and name your fear. And these are the reasons why. And these are the things that let me know that this might be going on. This might be an issue. These are the things that I consider to be red flags for this problem. Tell them, tell your family members, tell your friends, be direct, be honest, own it. When you make a mistake, be direct, be honest, and own it. Yeah, it can be embarrassing and it can make us feel like we're kind of a crappy person for a few minutes, maybe a couple hours. And if you're like me, it can take you a while to work through it and make it right for yourself. It's always very easy for me. I try to say I'm sorry when I've done a wrong or when I've hurt somebody's feelings, when I've been thoughtless. I really try hard to do those things. Sometimes it's hard for me to see it, and that's when I need to take the time to take the lesson and learn it. But when I do these things, I notice that when I have to deal with people, hey, Lander.
I gotta go to work.
Okay. I notice that when I do these things, that when I look at other people, I have more compassion first. I want to hear their story. I want to know why something is going on. I want to hear it. I need to hear it. That helps. That's right. Take it easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself. And never forget this, Lala. Thank you for saying this. You're doing so much better than you think. And this is why we need our friends, because not only do we need our friends to say, right now you really suck, and I don't like how you're behaving. I don't like your tone. I don't like your attitude. Talking about, doing this over here really has impacted me, has impacted my life. But because I've taken the time to listen to myself, to learn why I make the mistakes I make, why I have the fears I have, then it helps me sit down and listen when somebody is in front of me doing the same. And I want you to take the time, remember this, and take the time to do this when people are in front of you. This is easier with your kids. This is easier with acquaintances, people you're just getting to know. This is much harder to do when you're, I don't know. For me, it's easier with my kids, but maybe for some of you, it's not easier with your kids because you're home all day with your kids. You're taking care of your kids, I find it easier with kids because I like to know what's going through their heads. I want to know what they're thinking about. I want to know why they're not thinking. Is it just bad alien brain day? Is it just, What's going on in the kid's mind that influenced them? Same thing with an adult. I like to know that too. But that's not all adults are willing to be that open with you. And that's okay, you know. Just, that's okay. That can update later. I'll put that over there. But just know that every person in front of you is as complicated, has as complicated of a life, at least as complicated of a life as you do. And if you can remember that much, then it will take some of the fire and the fight out of situation when you're trying to work something out with somebody that matters to you. When we look at circumstance number 1, all the things that happen to us because we're human. Some of these things we can do a thing about. We can sleep, we can eat well, we can rest, we can exercise. We can choose more carefully the people in our lives. We can change our job. We can make corrections to our living environment. There are thousands of things that we can do to affect our human circumstance. And there are 1,000 things that can work against us in this physical meat suit and meat form. In this situation, we have a strong duality. There are a ton of things that we can do, and all we have to do is sit back and observe the things that are happening and see where we can make changes. Even if we can't change all of the things, we can change a good portion of those things and improve our physical situation. Where we can't is if we have, family history of diabetes, family history of breast cancer, family history of colon cancer, things like this, things we can't change. Mental health issues, all of these things that are genetic, that we are born into because we have a body. We can improve them to the best of our ability, and then we have to learn to deal with them. In circumstance number 2, the challenges and trials that we have because somebody else's behavior or words or whatever indirectly or directly impacts our life. We can choose to ignore it. We can choose to respond. We can continue to indulge the habit of reacting. And if you know the difference between reacting and responding, you'll understand why I call the reacting a habit and the response taking the time. Again, certain of these circumstances we can't do anything about. When crazy people come after me online, if I'm moderating for Corey, I just boot him out of the room. When people say horrible things about me online, I almost never give them a response. Sometimes they make me feel self-conscious. Sometimes they make me feel embarrassed, or some of them can really hurt my feelings, but those things are ultimately have zero effect on my life. If I hadn't seen it, read it, heard about it, I wouldn't know about it and I wouldn't care. And that's where I put those type of things. I put them in the category of, if I didn't see it, read it, or know about it, would I really care? Nope. So I let it go. Now, if somebody does something that directly affects my life, I'll let them know. And their response then dictates how we go about sorting it out. I prefer to sort things out through conversation. And I prefer short, brief conversations about uncomfortable things. But I also have a real need to be heard and understood. I know that about myself. Some people don't have that. They don't want to talk about things. They don't want to relate about things. They just don't want to deal with it. And that can make communicating a real challenge. I appreciate it when people are open to short, brief conversations. I appreciate it when people are open to hearing my feelings and my desires. I try very hard to do the same. I try to offer that to people in front of me. Sometimes that's really hard, especially when somebody's putting the thumb down on you. But I always take it. The feeling of being misunderstood is the worst. It is a really difficult experience to be misunderstood. You're right. I try to give that feeling, I try and give that space to people in front of me. If I don't do it, if I'm unsuccessful at doing it in the moment, my kids know this. I do think about it. I take a lot of time and think about it. And I do think about it. And I think about the things that people say to me and what their wants and wishes and desires are. And I try not to be difficult. Sometimes I am. And I know that. But I take these things to heart. I think that most of you who are sitting here with me today take these things to heart. That, you will listen and you will try and understand where everyone's coming from. When we each give that to each other, it's such a gift, and it allows the person that we're listening to have the feeling of clarifying their position, to have the feeling of expressing their thoughts and feelings and wants to as well. A lot of times when things happen, they happen because needs and things aren't getting met. And the best way for needs to get met, of course, is to have a conversation about them. And sometimes that's really hard to do. So be open. Even if, Nitwit, I admit I'm the one who would rather close up and not talk, especially to my sisters because of our political differences. Well, that makes sense. But is there a way for you to have conversations about these things where it's less sparky and fiery, Nitwit? Is there a way for you to express some of those things with, sort of in a, you just rather not talk about anything with them? Sometimes that's the best. When you're in that position and you just rather not talk to them about anything, you're doing the first rule of self-care, and that's putting yourself in a position where your mental health stays in check. Right? You're putting yourself in a situation where your mental health stays in check. So stay in that position where your mental health stays in check. And then from there, if you decide you want to have a conversation with them, find a topic you can talk to about them. When the conversation switches over to politics, you can exit the conversation. You can change the subject, or you can just say, I was so enjoying our conversation about planting a garden this year that I don't really want to talk about politics right now. And yes, then they think I need psychiatric care because I don't know to date. You're not required to date anyone after that, nitwit, just so you know. You gotta find another another ground to have conversation with them. You're right, Lala. That's really good advice. You have to have another ground to have a conversation on. Nitwit, take a break from them for a little bit. That's okay. And then, while you're on your little sabbatical, make a list for yourself of topics that you want to talk to them about. And then just, and start slow when you want to reconnect. Take your time with that. There's no rush. Yeah. And protecting yourself and isolating in order to be safe can be lonely because when you start isolating yourself from people generally because you've had an experience like abuse, you do isolate yourself from people. You isolate yourself from people that you don't think understand your situation, and you isolate yourself from people who seem physically aggressive, and then you isolate yourself from people who don't seem to have a clue about these sorts of things in the real world. Thank you for the lemon, Scotsman. Appreciate it. So you do start to isolate yourself. You isolate yourself in every circumstance because it just feels safer. And, you'll do that for a while. And then out of necessity, you'll branch out and reach out slowly when it feels like it's a situation that you can control or are willing to risk the fact that you can't control. Does that make sense? The latest is me refusing to because they both feel I should care enough. Well, we're going to all stand behind you, Nitwit, here. And we know that you refusing to take the jab is self-care. And that's how you keep yourself well and how you keep yourself alive and how you keep yourself going through all this. We all know this. So doesn't matter what they think because we're all right here with you on this. So don't feel like, right? Don't give up. Just like Grammy says. Don't give up. Just know that you take care of yourself and your situation first. And then from there, you reach out little by little in your social spaces where you can and where it feels safe and comfortable. I didn't date. I got divorced. I dated a man who wanted a man and a pony. I dated another man who threw dishes at me. So I quit dating. And I hadn't dated in a couple years when I met Corey. And I was so excited when Corey finally came to see me in real life and in person, and his beautiful blue eyes and his sweetness and how happy he was the day we met. And then how happy he was the day I picked him up at the train station. And he stayed extra days that week with me. It was just the best thing. I was lonely, and I wasn't sleeping very well, and I didn't go out much at nighttime because coming home to a dark house was scary to me. So I organized my life around what was comfortable for myself, and that's what I did. And it was worth all the time I waited to meet Corey. You can't even imagine it. But I'm learning some new skills now in my relationship with Corey. Because Corey's a different man than any man I've ever been with. And I find it to be the best thing that ever happened in my life. And I want to make him happy. I want to be the best person I can for Corey. Myself first, but I want to be the kind of person that makes Corey happy and makes him feel like his world is solid and stable and joyful and exciting and fun. So, I love you too, Corey. The point of all this, the point of all of this conversation around where our trials come from is that when we look at the world around us right now, we have so much putting pressure on us. We have all the politics. We have people who want to kill us because there's just too many of us. We have, and because they're rotten and evil, and because they're digging into dark energies and things, excuse me. I find this world really hard to navigate right now. And so I refer in my mind to this set of where all of these challenges come from on a regular basis. Can I control most of the things that happen to me because I have a physical body? I can control a portion of those things. And so those things are the things that I can control are things that I will focus on. I'll go out and walk, I'll exercise, I'll eat better, I'll go take a nap. Those are the things I can control. The rest of it, there's not so much I can do to deal with it except for take it one day at a time. If I get COVID, I have to take that one day at a time. If I come down with cold or flu, I have to take that one day at a time. Anything else I'm dealing with my body, I have to take it one day at a time, just like each of you do. So now we have Jim, no kidding. Now instead of heaven and hell, we have COVID and vaccines. You're right. And we have a fight now we have an added fight for protecting our bodies, right? Now we have an added fight for protecting our bodies. And this is a daily fight. You know, it is a daily fight to fight for the health of our bodies when everything is against us. When everything regarding our bodies and our health and our survival is against us. The things they put in our food, the things they put in our vaccines, the things they give to our children in their vaccines. The things they put in the water, things they spray in the air. The way they manage our country. All of this, you know, a new cult from materialistic age, disease and salvation through pharma. Right. It's a big, our physical experience has become even more of our responsibility, hasn't it? So, most importantly, we must not let fear win. You're right. Corey's really good at that. Not me. I am not afraid of demons. They don't have a body. Nothing to be afraid of. I am afraid of human beings. They are unpredictable and they have a means and a desire to hurt other people, right? So people seem scary and unpredictable to me. But I can't give in to fear of that either. So when that happens, I sit down with Corey and he puts his arm around me and he reminds me it's all okay. Sometimes one day at a time is too much. I just break it down into making it to my next meal, period. You know what? Socks, that's right. Sometimes we got to break it down smaller. A day can just be too much. If you can just make it till your next meal, that's really good. If you can make it till for 5 minutes, that's a start, right? And I don't know if you do this, Socks, but this is what I do. Am I okay? I'm okay. How do I know I'm okay? Because I'm sitting here in my chair. I'm breathing. I'm not bleeding. No one's injuring me. Nothing like this, right? So even if, all the other things in my life that are going on that make me feel like I'm not okay, I can sit in my chair. I'm talking to you. I'm okay. I got Corey backing me up, loving me, taking care of me. I'm okay. I got my son checking in on me on a regular basis. I'm okay. I have friends that love me and check in on me and keep their eye on me. I'm okay. Am I hurting? Am I not well? Sure. But right now in this moment, am I okay? I'm okay. I'm okay. And you'll know if I'm okay, like if I'm saying okay, because I'll say, if we're texting, you'll know I'm great if I'm spelling it okay, and it's just part of the conversation. But if you ask me how I'm doing and I'd go just okay, letter O, letter K, then, that's an abbreviated, truncated thing, and it's like saying I'm fine. I don't know if you guys do that. That's how I do it. That's my small cue. That's my external cue. Corey's getting good at reading when I'm not okay. And I'm getting better at telling him what I need when I need it. If you have somebody in your life that loves you, a friend, a lover, somebody, and you're not okay, make an agreement with one person in your life to tell them, hey, today I'm okay, the letter O, letter K, not okay, okay. I'm not all the way okay. I'm just 2-letter okay. I'm just 2-letter okay today. And your friend will know that's your cue. Or your lover, or your sweetheart, or whatever. Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. There you go. Fine. So try that, have one person that you can have that cue with. And that gives you the opportunity to be heard. And that gives you the opportunity to hear, give that option to your best friend or your sweetheart or somebody too. Let them know that you want to hear them when they're not good. Yeah. All of you, I can see it in the audience here, have been in a place where daily, by the minute, you've had to be okay. And it's part of the human condition, isn't it? That fits on several of those levels, doesn't it? Level 1, it could fit into level 2, it could fit into level 3. It could even fit into level 4 of where our challenges come from, couldn't it? One little minute at a time is all we have to get through. And I don't know what all of your age ranges is, but it's just by looking at the age range of what I know of you people in the audience here today with me is that we've got quite an age range. And if you can sit down in your chair and go, I've made it this far, I'm 54 years old and I've made it this far and I've been through some hellacious things. I can get through the next 10 minutes. I can get through the next 2 hours. I can get through this next test at the hospital. I can get through the next test with my ex. I can get through whatever, right? You just get up and do it. Socks is a great example of this in our audience today. He just gets up every day and lets me know he's alive. And I love his check-ins because I know he's there and it's nice to hear from him. How many of you, I've decided that I will not give permission to die. Good. Don't. You just, be in it with us. Be in it with us for as long as you can. And if Socks can do it, we can all do it, right? The government should clone Socks. We should clone Socks and outdo the government with Socks clones. Because Socks is an Energizer bunny for sure. It's pretty awesome. So, Six's designs mentioned this earlier, that we got to find balance. We got to find balance in how we take in information from the world around us. And we got to find balance in how hard we are on ourselves. Those are the two things in the balance, right? Those are the two things in the balance. How we deal with the information the world gives us and how we deal with the way we move through the world. So what do? We put down as many things as we possibly can. If the clerk in the store is rude to us, wish them a good day and go on. Say something uplifting. Be kind. If the kids come home from school and they're in a bad mood, find out why. If you're in a position with somebody you're talking to and they're just, ask them. You know, if it's somebody that you are close to, ask them if they're okay. Hey, are you okay? Is everything all right? You're kind of, hey, Joe, and say why. Ask why you're asking. Let them know. Don't take it personally. Uh, Socks is here refusing to be cloned. You know, I have a saying, says Grammy. God put me here to accomplish a certain amount of things. I'm so far behind, I will never be allowed to. Oh, I can relate to that, Grammy. Oh, I used to want to live to be 120. I really did. I really wanted to live to be 120 years old. I don't know. I'm kind of rethinking that wish right now. I don't have a chosen date or an age, but I certainly don't know if 120 seems as exciting as it used to. Socks will pass on knowledge, but will never be cloned. I think that's fair. So when we find balance in relating to people and accepting what is ours and what is theirs, we're going to take a lot of stress off of ourselves. Sometimes we think that we have to do something for another person because they've asked us to, or because they're in a situation where they need help. But we have this physical aversion to doing the thing for them. It's okay. That's your body telling you to say no. It's your body saying, nope, this is not a thing that's good for you to do. This is not a thing you should do. And this is spirit telling you, if you do this, you're probably going to take away some important growth lesson for the person in front of you. And you're going to build karmic debt with them. Don't do that. It's okay. It's okay to say, no, I can't. It's okay to say, I probably shouldn't. It's okay, that's not for me. It's okay to say, I really think that's your responsibility. This is a great learning opportunity for you. What an exciting opportunity you have to learn and grow. So each of you in the chat today, I want you to give me one no response. Polite, but turn down an invitation, an offer, a request of some kind in the chat here for me. I want to see all your different responses for declining, saying no, doing or refusal of some kind, so that you have I know that you have a phrase that you can use, and maybe you'll pick up some extra ones from everybody's phrases here. Here are some of mine. That doesn't work for me. No thanks, not today. I really can't. That's not for me. I prefer not to. I'm really not interested. No, thank you. Those are some of the things that I use. There you go. That sounds interesting, but isn't something I would be comfortable with. That's great. Now, I want you, in formulating these sentences, to do so without making an excuse for yourself. Don't pardon yourself. Don't excuse yourself. Women are really good at this. We women, this is like, we feel like we feel like we have to explain ourselves so that our simple answers are acceptable. Our simple no answers are acceptable. Oh, okay, guys, let's help Nitwit. My son wants me to help clean his apartment when he moves out and next out next week? I want to say hell no. Who has a suggestion for Nitwit? My suggestion would be the simple answer, of course, is no. Corey's answer is, over there lies my valley of fucks. I suggest you look yonder, good sir. Since it's family, I'd be nice. I'd just say be nice about it. Okay, Jim says be nice about it. Okay, so you can be nice about family. Grammy, that's excellent. Hey, sweetie, you do the cleanup and I will come and check your work. My son is moving in with me. Well, if he wants your help cleaning up when he moves out, he needs your help cleaning and moving in. That is, boy, my son is moving in with me. Well, I might tell him this. He's a great big grown-up, and he can clean on as he packs. See what a professional cleaning service costs and the fees. See, there you go. That's right. Can you tell I have done that before? Yes. Yes. Grammy, it's great. See, Grammy has a great suggestion. You can give your son Nitwit a list of inexpensive cleaning services. These are the you can definitely do that. That's right. Where are that boy's friends? He's got friends that can help him clean up. These are great ideas. And look how we mitigated an upset thing with this. A little humor goes a long way, and honesty seals the deal. So we have a little humor from Grammy on this, a few friends to back him up and help him clean up the mess, and Nitwit doesn't have to lift a finger. I love this. See, this is how we, now nobody is upset. This is a great idea. Yeah, he does. And an older brother. Oh, well, there's no excuse. They've got it handled. You boys can get it handled in no time. So they have it all handled. No worries. He doesn't even need to ask you for help. You can even say that, you know what, you don't even need my help. You've got so much help. That's how I would do it. It's good to see someone that their life's primary mission in this life is to tell people, I don't think if I'm the only one that sees this all. Thank you. Thank you. So with all of this, and the world being what it is, and how hard it can be to navigate all of this, we get to weighing, putting everything in our basket. We get to putting everything in our scale. We get to putting it all in our cart. We get to heaping it on top the covers that we go to bed with, so that when we lay down at night, it's there. Corey says, she should tell him I picked up your shit the whole time you were growing up. Why am I doing it after you moved out? And don't you dare pick it up when he moves back home, Nitwit. That's his job. He can pick up after you now. I love it. I'm teasing you a little bit. But you know, when you have a sense of humor and you are direct and honest with your sense of humor, they get the point. So that's right, Grammy. You tell him. You tell her. That's really great advice. So when we look at where we have the responsibility for carrying things in the world, I have the responsibility for carrying a good portion of the care of my physical well-being, my body, my meat suit, because that helps me have a long life, helps me stay healthy, it helps me with all of that. The things I can't do where my body is concerned, if somebody runs into me in their car, I can't control that. I can hope I'm wearing my, I make sure I'm wearing my seatbelt and driving as safely as I possibly can. But if there's an injury there, I have to deal with consequences of that. If I fall down the stairs, if I play a sport like I did and break my back, then I have, I played a sport that was really rough and I took a risk with my body. Now I have to deal with the consequences of the damage that I did there. I broke my back in 7 places and now I have to, it's been years, but I certainly have to take care of my body so that I don't have pain. I have to eat right so that I don't have too much cholesterol. I have to exercise so that my body stays fit, Those are the things I can do. There are things I can't control, and I have to deal with as they come up. So do you. Socks has a totally different set of health circumstances, and Knitwood and Grammy and Six's Designs and the Nameless Block. Each of us has physical things that we have to face that we couldn't control. And we can't control them, but we have to face them daily. And then we have things that we can control. Socks broke his back 8 weeks ago, and it really hurts. The difference between, oh great, Grammy, thank you. The difference between tolerance and appeasement. Appeasement is that you go along with it and participate in it. Tolerance is putting up with and not necessarily helping. I would take appeasement one step further, Granny. You're not just going along and participating in it. You're doing it as a placating measure so that you don't have conflict or contrast. It means that you're definitely going against something you don't like. Tolerance is, hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
Tolerance is just putting up with it and not necessarily helping. Yeah. Now, when it comes to dealing with other people and the things they do and say that affect your life, yeah, go along to get along. All right. It's going along to get along. It's keeping the peace. Tolerance is being aware of. You dropped your little thingy outside?
Yeah.
Okay. You're still confused about it. All right, here you go. Tolerance. The capacity for or the practice of recognizing and respecting the beliefs of others. It's a leeway or a variation from. A tolerance can also be a level of stress that one can endure. Does that make sense? Appeasement is more about, like Grammy says, going along to get along. Does that make more sense? You're willing to take an action In appeasing, you're willing to take an action to be part of the solution for getting along, whether you agree or not. Tolerance means that you're aware that there's a difference and you are accepting of the difference. Appeasement, tolerance is more emotional. Tolerance is intellectual. Appeasement is an action. Is that helpful? More feelings? Not necessarily more feelings, just one involves an action and the other one involves awareness. What we have here.
Yeah.
Okay. Six's design says, there's no shame in telling you I have had multiple brain injuries, but my heart is left unchanged. Love rules all, always. And that right there, sixes, is the key to understanding all the nature of our challenges. There's only so much we can do about any of our challenges. If we want the universe is never going to stop trying us. The universe and our higher selves have made agreements for the things that we need to learn in this lifetime. Our higher self and the universe are going to go on every day and teach us things we need to learn. And we can't get out of those challenges. Suck it up, buttercup. Learn your lessons. Move on. Challenges that we have because we make mistakes, and challenges that we have because other people make mistakes, that requires love and compassion for ourselves and others. That requires patience. That requires knowing when you can do something about it, knowing when you should do something about it, and knowing when to leave it alone. Only you can decide that. But taking the time to decide if you should, if you ought to, and what you ought to do about it. Okay. Taking the time to decide what you should do and how to do it, or if you should at all, is the, excuse me, let him drive away. If you can, or if you should at all, sorry, that's where you're going to eliminate your workload. If it belongs to somebody else, if it's really somebody else's problem, you can set it down peacefully for yourself and know that you're not responsible for taking care of it. If it belongs to someone else, you can set it down and know that you're not taking away their karmic lessons, that you're not building karmic debt with them, and that you're not abandoning them. You can offer help. You can offer support. You can say, I've seen you have a real challenge in front of you and you're asking me for help, but what this help that you're asking me for really shows me that you're wanting me to do it for you. And I can't. If I could do it for you and you could learn the lesson, well, I would do that for you. I've said this to my kids on many occasions. If I could do this for you and learn the lesson for you, then, I would just do it for you and we would get it out of our hair and you'd get the learning done and I'd get the process done and be out of both our hair and we'd be over it, right? But you would have, but you take important things away from somebody when you take those lessons from them and when you do those things for them. And it's okay to say no. Appeasement rarely works. You're right, Socks. it just builds resentment and deepens problems instead of working them through. Better to work them through, better to be upset and angry with each other and work them through and come to a better understanding than pretending it doesn't exist and going along for the ride. Because one person's going to feel like they're getting away with murder and the other person is going to feel like they're being put upon. And that never works long term for either party, and it just builds significant resentments. It's better to talk about it, guys. But love, when you can have a kindness and a compassion for yourself and an understanding that you're not perfect. I mean, it's easy to say, well, I'm not perfect, and then expect other people around you to be perfect. If you want people to be accepting of your imperfections, you must also accept others' imperfections and learning and growing process. Don't let a scab grow before the wound is cleaned. It will only become infected. That's right. It just becomes worse. It's much easier to say yes than it is to say no, but it's rarely that we're doing it to benefit anyone other than ourselves by avoiding no. That's right. We don't want the discomfort of saying no, and we don't want the discomfort of seeming selfish or uninterested or unwilling. We get the idea that saying no is an antisocial and disagreeable thing. How many times have you asked somebody for something and they've said no, and you've gone, okay, I'll go ask someone else, or I'll go do it myself, or, you've come up with a solution. Why do you have to spar when learning a martial art? That's a great question, because you need practice. And you know what? I think simplicity is of great importance. Keep things simple. The more complicated you make them, the harder the path is to travel. That's right. And it's much simpler at the beginning than it is midway through to unravel and solve a problem than it is deeper into it because you've dug yourself into a hole by being placating. You have to do this so you can prove to yourself that you can handle the situation. That's right. It's practice. Practice this with people you feel safe with. Practice all of the aspects of this. Practice stating your needs. Practice stating a boundary. Practice asking for what you need. Practice asking for forgiveness. Practice giving forgiveness. Yeah, little at a time. These are new habits. These are not things that come naturally to human beings. These do not come naturally to people because we, as people, as humans, get into a mode of self-preservation because life is painful and teaches us lessons that sometimes we didn't ask to learn. And so that gives us the desire to isolate ourselves and to keep ourselves away from other people and to push ourselves back. Practice staying grounded to the earth. Right. Bare feet. Meditation. Imagine your etheric and astral roots digging deep into the ground and grounding. When you're really solid and grounding, you have more courage. And that's an interesting statement because that really opens up a conversation about the root chakra and how all of life's challenges and all of the things that we talked about today directly tie us to, first, to root chakra, and then to solar plexus. Well, we get some heart chakra in there for this conversation, but root chakra is really important in this conversation, and so is solar plexus. What we receive into us from our gut. You know, when our gut talks to us, we got to listen. That's right, you are like the mighty oak, you can't be shaken. But yep, and you complete the circuit when you're grounded. You're right. You have energetic flow this way, in through the crown chakra, through the pineal gland, from source, from universe, and then you have it flowing into Mother Earth and from Mother Earth to you. And that completes your energetic circuit, your knowledge circuit, your spirit circuit. It's really good for you and keeps your body healing and functioning properly. You guys are so smart. You guys always impress me. But the bottom line on this, ultimately, is that without love, we can't forgive ourselves when we are not the best that we can be. And we also can't forgive anybody else. Because without love, we forget that people are human like we are. We forget that every one of us comes with our own little trailer full of stuff that influences us and triggers us and affects our perspective on the world. And each of us has a capacity to bring the change that we are really looking for in this world. Sock says, without love, there is no reason to try to improve ourselves. That's true. That's true. But without love, we lose our ability to move through the world in a way that is connected to spirit. That's why we're here. We're put here to connect to spirit through our body. We're here to have a physical experience. We're here to enjoy the pleasure of food and the taste of wine and the depth that love can move in your life, and the awe and wonder of nature, and the miracle of life. And Grammy says, thank you everyone who is showing up now when humanity needs you most. Yes, much love to all of you. You know, there's a lot of conversation in the metaphysical circles that all of us here today are here because we chose this time. And we committed to participating in everything happening, and to be bringers of light, and to bring healers, and to bring love. This next segment of world history is not going to happen if we don't find the love. If we're going to win this, it's going to be because of love. Not just for ourselves in the way of self-preservation and I must survive, but in the way of I need to teach my neighbor so my neighbor can survive too. I need to teach my neighbor so when it becomes critical, my neighbor has the skills to take care of themselves and I don't have the burden of taking care of them. It means that in the apex of this situation, should your neighbor need your help, that you have the ability and capacity to help them. It means letting go of things that you can't do anything about. If you really and truly can't do anything about, put it down. Somebody else will pick it up because it's theirs. If you really can't do anything about it, it's not in your energy field to worry about. Usually, if it's not something you can do anything about, you can see who it belongs to. And that is where that belongs. And it's okay to let them handle it. That's right. Love your neighbor as yourself. Take care of your neighbor as yourself. Don't forget to love yourself as your neighbor. Oftentimes, we're gentler to our neighbors than we are to ourselves. So don't forget that part too. Our challenges come from 4 places. Being in a body, other people's lives, their choices, decisions, and things. And they may not intentionally be directed at you, but consequences have waves like sound. And me having a consequence, my consequences can ripple out to the people around me. It's my responsibility to make sure that my consequences don't ripple out and affect other people. 3rd, it's up to me to make sure that I can manage the stupid shit I do. I can fix it, I can correct it, and that I take the time to learn more, learn and grow so that my stupid shit doesn't affect yours, your life. Right? 6, it says, I can dislike someone or something they do, but it is very hard to hate someone. It would take an incredible amount for me to hate someone. I feel the same way. I use the word hate very, 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 very limited. I say out loud sometimes that I hate people. I hate people at large. I hate the noise. I hate the evil that human beings are capable of. But do I hate people personally? No. If anybody has a heart, and if anybody has a life experience, I can't judge them. I don't want people judging me. I try really hard not to judge somebody else. We have to make some judgments. Judgments are important. They keep us safe. They remind us to pay attention to warning flags and indicators that things are not okay. But there's really very little that we can hold against somebody else and expect them not to hold it against us in return. So own what's yours humbly. Forgive yourself sooner. Forgive yourself sooner. And dive into the lessons that Spirit wants to give to you. We're not too old to grow and change. And I really want to believe that it doesn't matter how old a person is, that they have the capacity to learn to be better. They have the capacity to correct themselves. I really want to believe that because I work tirelessly, even at my age now, to be better. If I can, it'll be better. fucking free 76s. Keep the boo-boos small. If you can. Sometimes we can't. But we can sure try. Challenges are the human point of a challenge is to learn something and grow from it, and to have a better perspective, a deeper view of the world, just to adjust your moral compass, to, I don't know. The list is really long about why we have challenges in our lives. Each one of you could name 100 of them, I'm sure. But they're not here to halt our progress. They're not here to torture us. They're not here to make life hard. They're here. You are not the doer. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay. I feel like the more that okay, hold on. My notes here. Yeah, sit back and enjoy the ride. But we are the doers. We are the doers. Every one of us needs to be a doer. And we need to find joy in the doing, not when we sit back too far, then we have a lot of things that come into our life and come into our space that we don't like. Yes, we do need to sit back and enjoy it. Harder you try, behinder you get. No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. I think the more we try, the more we do, the more we learn better habits. And the more practice we have at listening, at understanding, at doing, at being, trying to focus on something beyond what you think is yourself. So I think that we have, everything about this life is learning, and everything about this life is about contrast. And every one of these situations presents a type of contrast. And contrast, as an artist, if you look at the drawing behind me, you'll see a variety of things. You'll see the leaves and the light and the dark on the leaves that tell you that there's sun shining on those trees. You'll see the tree trunks. You'll see the light coming out of the lines in the flower of life behind me. Contrast. You'll see that the flower of life is superimposed over the trees who represent in the way they form their flowers and petals and leaves, and they all continue to repeat this pattern of life for us. And love being the greatest ingredient to those patterns. That's right. If you really knew who you were, you would have no problems. You're right about that. But you do still encounter situations and experiences because other people have habits and lives and things that bounce into yours. And are they permanent problems? No, they're most certainly not permanent problems, but they are problems, and we do have to face them, and we do have to address them. Are they life crises? No. But there are situations. And that's important. It's important to know that knowing who you are, you have the skills. When you know who you are, you know that you have the skills and the foundation to look inward to solve your problems. You don't need somebody else to solve your problems. But in part of this, we're talking about where we take accountability to. And I don't want to see people I know and love taking accountability for things that they are not responsible for. We do it all the time with family and friends. We do it all the time in our congregations at church. We do it all the time in our relationships. It's okay to say, you know what, this one is your lesson. And this is part of knowing who you are, is knowing in reality you are that which transcends the human drama. Enjoy the dream. Yes. So take the time this week to think about when you are faced with something small or large, overwhelming, or something you want to give a fast response to. Take your time and think about it and decide if you need to give any response to it at all. Decide if you need to give any response to it at all. Decide if you want to encourage somebody to take responsibility for it and encourage them to know that they have your support. You do better to create the right kind of karmic energy between yourself and somebody else than to take on their responsibility and do it for them. And understand what you need in the way of self-love and forgiveness. And what you need in the way of self-love and forgiveness, remember that when it comes your turn to give it to somebody who has wronged you. I think that if we can take this type of practice out into the world, we're going to do better in the world around us. People are going to be open to the things we want to share with them. And we all have so much to share right now with people in the world around us because we're trying to save it. And that's the way we do it. So that's my thought on the nature of challenges, why we have them, what we're supposed to do with them, and how to manage them. And I really hope that good to see you, Sergeant Bob. I really hope that sorry. Hey, Sergeant. I really hope that we covered a good topic today. And that excuse me. I'm a little bit lost for thoughts as I read your guys' comments here. I'm just going to close it up here today and get some work done before Corey goes on. I have a little bit of work to do, but I want to thank you guys for being here with me today, letting me kind of talk this conversation out. It's one I've wanted to have for a while because I was really impacted when I read that book about the nature of different types of trial in our life and how some of them You know, we always feel like we have to do something about every single thing that comes our way. And we do. The first thing we have to do is just ask what we need to do about it. What do I need to do about this? And is this mine? And if it's mine, then what? And handle it. Clear it up, handle it, face it, challenge it, run it, race it, beat it, own it. And the rest of it, put it down. Because we have that's right. Speaking off the cuff works more times than not against you. You can try and take it back, but others may never accept it. Sometimes people don't want to accept your apology, and that's tough. That's really hard. We let ourselves down, we let them down, and that's a big thing to carry with us. Sometimes time corrects that, and sometimes it doesn't. But you guys are great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me talk this out, because this has been an important topic to me. It's one that I use in my life daily, sometimes more successful than others. And I hope it's useful to you. I hope you can walk away from this and identify which kinds of trials in your life fit in which category, so that you can start deciding how much or how little you really have to put into it. If you have to put a lot into it, go for it. Go all out, own it. It's yours. And if you don't, put it down with confidence and know that you are doing the right thing for everybody involved. So, thank you again for being here, and happy journaling on this topic today. Enjoy the freedom this gives to you guys. I hope it will give to you. I really hope that it gives you a little bit of freedom with all the pressure and the weight in the world around us, and we feel like we have so much to do just to survive it. Back up a little bit and run everything that comes at you towards through this kind of qualifier, and give yourself a little break. You're right, we aren't taught how to fail. The process of discovery is blinded. You're right, we aren't taught how to fail. We are only taught that winning is the only answer. We aren't taught how to dig our lessons out of our failures. Maybe that's a topic for another day. So, you guys have a great day, and I'm gonna head out and go kiss my Corey and have some lunch, and we'll see you guys tonight. Thanks again for being here with me. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.